The one who waits will come from you. If you look at Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 to 18, the age was evil and ignorant, so Jesus suffered death from birth. I thought about it when I went to church as a kid. I thought, why didn't God immediately judge this wicked King Herod and let Jesus run away? Afterward, he judged the wicked. But why did God allow the wicked to do evil? Even when I read the Bible, I didn't feel refreshed. If you look at the biblical history and the 2000-year history of Christianity, there are many cases where evil grips and shakes good. During the persecution in Rome, believers in Jesus were killed and treated most cruelly for 400 years. Looking at this history of persecution, people say, only in this way can God's will be fulfilled. He sent the Messiah to make people believe in God. So, why did He allow the lives of believers in the Messiah to suffer so cruelly for 400 years and to die so cruelly? So, let's listen to Jesus again today, and I hope you spend the week celebrating the birth and coming of Jesus to this land. Why did King Herod want to kill Jesus? King Herod was the king of Israel when Jesus was born. The three wise men from the east saw the sign of the star and knew that the king of the Jews had been born. So they went to Jerusalem, the heart of Israel, and asked, where is the one who has been born as the king of the Jews? I saw a sign from a star in the east and came to worship him. When all Jerusalem and King Herod heard this, they were in an uproar. Already at the time, the king who ruled over Israel was Herod, and a new ruler was born. So a commotion broke out. In response, King Herod summoned the chief priests and scribes who believed in God. I rule this country as a king. What kind of king do you mean? Where will Christ come from? The chief priests and scribes answered, through the prophet Micah, it is written, Bethlehem, you're not small among the rulers of Judah. A ruler will come out of Bethlehem. When King Herod heard this, he was even more shocked. He was already a king, and he couldn't stand it when he heard that one would come to rule this land. In response, King Herod called the wise men from the east and asked them in detail when the star appeared. When you go to Bethlehem and find the child, tell me too, so that I may go and worship him. This was to find out where the baby Jesus was born, who is said to have been born as a king, and kill him so as not to lose his position. You must not deceive and lie to others in order to gain your own benefit and what you want. Afterwards, the wise men from the east went as the star led them, and when they arrived at the place where the star stopped, baby Jesus was there. When he saw that his mother Mary was with him, he fell down and worshipped the baby Jesus, and offered the gift of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And as promised, he went to King Herod and tried to tell him where the baby Jesus was. But he received a revelation in a dream. Do not go back to Herod. So, without stopping by King Herod and telling him where the baby Jesus was, he turned around and returned to his country. God revealed to Joseph, the father of Jesus, in a dream through an angel that the baby Jesus escaped to Egypt that night. King Herod waited for the wise men from the east to visit the place where the baby Jesus was, worship him, and come to him as promised and tell him where the place was. But when he waited and they didn't come, he knew that he had been deceived, and he was very angry, and he immediately sent men to kill the baby Jesus, killing all the boys in Bethlehem and in the area under the age of 2. King Herod would have thought that the baby born as the king of Israel was 100% dead. The prophecy that a ruler will come up of Bethlehem did not refer to a fragile king like King Herod. It means that for 4,000 years, as God promised, He will send a shepherd for His work of salvation. This refers to religious leaders. So there was nothing for King Herod to misunderstand, but rather it was something to rejoice. However, the chief priests and scribes, the leaders of those who believed in God and waited for His promise, themselves had the wrong perception, so they could not properly explain and prove this. That's why explanations and evidence are so important. You have to explain each one well, so that people do not misunderstand each other, so that such a scary thing does not happen. With a single word, your destiny depends. The same is true when preaching the words of the Bible. Destiny is determined by a single word, so it is necessary to release it without any problems. Those who listen must not think according to their own subjective opinions after hearing the word. A misunderstanding led King Herod to a brutal murder. Historically, kings have committed many such brutal murders for their own benefit or because of misunderstanding. It is said that kings are established by God, and you may wonder, why would they kill like this? However, God judges both the flesh and the spirit according to their deeds. He repays according to what is done, and He absolutely kept and protected God's people. The same is true in the history of the Bible. In the same way, God absolutely protects us and carries out His will. When Jesus was growing up in Egypt, King Herod became ill and died, just as he had done. At that time, God revealed to Joseph again through an angel, "They who sought the child's life are dead. Take the child and his mother and return to Israel." And Joseph, who entered the land of Israel, received a revelation in a dream, and went to Nazareth, not Bethlehem. From then on, Jesus lived in Nazareth and grew in the knowledge and wisdom of God. Then he came to the time appointed by God, and from the age of 30, he began to preach the gospel of the age. Little is recorded in the Bible until Jesus was 30 years old. It was a period of learning and preparing as he grew up. Even the Messiah is in the flesh, so he spent a period of learning, mastering, and preparing for the things of the flesh, as well as the things of the Spirit. Jewish religious people who believed in God lived for 4,000 years, eagerly waiting for God's promise to be fulfilled. It was a promise that God will come and save. He will send the Messiah to save. This promise was the highest hope of Jewish religious people, and because of this, the Old Testament history of 4,000 years was a history of hope, despite countless persecutions and difficulties. Priests often wore the scriptures of the Old Testament that the Messiah is coming written on their cloth, and they always planted hope that the Messiah would come to the saints and gave them hope, even in the midst of extreme difficulties and persecution. It is written in the Bible that God is coming, the Messiah will come on the clouds. They waited for God to come directly in the body of God, and they waited for the Messiah to come on the clouds of the sky. However, God did not come directly as a God, and the Messiah did not come on a cloud from the sky. He was born as a baby through the body of a woman on earth, Mary. Prophet Isaiah of the Old Testament received the revelation, "Behold, the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call his name Emmanuel." And he wrote about the Messiah and shouted out to the generation, "As the saying goes, a virgin conceives and gives birth to a son, Prophet Daniel also had a vision while praying and said, "Someone like a son of man is coming on the clouds of the sky." The Messiah was called the Son of Man. The clouds in the sky are not really clouds floating in the sky. Clouds are a metaphor here. According to this prophecy, those who follow the Messiah will become a cloud of audience supporting the Messiah, and the Messiah will appear riding on them. Also, the Messiah himself becomes a cloud, and God, the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Son come riding on the body. Therefore, the cloud is the one who conceived the Messiah, those who believed in and followed the Messiah, and the Messiah himself, who came to attend the Holy Trinity. In this way, Jesus did not come riding on the clouds of the sky as an adult, but was born as a baby through the body of a mother and came with a physical body. And as he grew up with God's wisdom and knowledge on this earth, he slowly appeared. As prophesied by the prophet Isaiah in Isaiah 11, Jesse's stem sprouted, took root, and bore fruit, and upon him the Spirit of the Lord, which is the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and the Spirit of justice, which does not judge by what is seen or heard, has descended. It means that God came in the flesh of Jesus. In this way, Jesus fulfilled all the prophecies of the Old Testament. However, Jewish religious people said, "How can a person born as a human save people?" They could not resolve their wrong perceptions and did not accept Jesus. Due to misperceptions, the highest hopes dreamed of for 4,000 years have not been fulfilled. So, how scary is the wrong perception? No matter how good you think and live, if you live with false hopes based on wrong perceptions, those hopes will end up as illusions and become nothing. You can receive the Messiah only when you have the right perception and know it properly. In this way, the Bible becomes the word fulfilled in oneself, and God's will is accomplished in oneself. Even in this age, we must have the right perception so that we can welcome the return of the Holy Son and Jesus. Even in this age, Jesus is coming again as promised, and he has come as a spirit along with the omnipotent Holy Son. Since he is coming as a spirit, he will come using the body of this earth. The missionary who becomes his flesh is also a human being. So he comes out of his mother's womb, learns from Jesus, grows up, goes through a preparation period, and then comes out to the world to preach the gospel of the age. He himself becomes the cloud and attends the Trinity and Jesus. And those who believe in and follow the word of the age become the cloud and support the missionary of the age, proving God's history.